Sometimes newcomers come to Celebrate Recovery and they're a little bit skeptical. They'll ask us, how can just sitting around talking about my problems with other people help my recovery? Shouldn't there be a trained counselor making suggestions or giving advice? If a person needs a trained counselor or professional assistance, they should get that help. But Celebrate Recovery is different. In Celebrate Recovery, the program itself is the counselor. So the real question is, first, how does the program work? And secondly, why does it work? First of all, in Celebrate Recovery, we aren't just sitting around talking about our problems. Rather, Celebrate Recovery guides us along a path of 12 steps that help us change our lifestyle. That's how CR works. And at the same time, we're learning 8 principles that help us improve the way we think. That's why CR works. This chart illustrates the process. CR combines the 12 steps with the 8 principles to lead a person through what is essentially 4 stages of recovery, both in the things you do and in the things you think. Let's look a little closer. In the first 3 steps, we address reality by admitting that we really do have thoughts and actions that need to change. At this point, we also begin to realize we are powerless to make those changes ourselves. After all, if we could change ourselves, we would have done it a long time ago, right? So we look for help elsewhere, in a higher power. That would be Jesus Christ as he's revealed in the Bible. Along with these first 3 steps, we also learn 2 principles that teach us humility. Humility means we begin to see ourselves as we truly are. With humility comes reconciliation, or the opportunity to get right with God. In the second stage of our recovery, steps 4, 5, and 6, we identify both the good and the bad attitudes and behaviors in our lives and determine where we would like to see some changes. This is where the real work begins. At the same time, principles 3 and 4 teach us to be vulnerable. Human. Vulnerability helps us to reconcile with ourselves. We stop fighting with ourselves like the Apostle Paul described in Romans 7, where he just couldn't seem to get his personal life in sync with his spiritual life, and forgive ourselves so we can leave old habits and attitudes behind and move on to a better lifestyle. In the third stage, we recognize that recovery is not just about me. Here we face the reality that, because we're flawed, we have hurt people around us. We will always be flawed, but that doesn't mean we have to act on those flaws. So now we're working on living a better life so we will be more lovable to the people around us, and we try to restore relationships we've damaged or broken over the years. Learning honesty is the key. If we're still living the same old lifestyle, any attempts to apologize or rectify a wrong will be meaningless. But if people can see our honest efforts to change, they will be much more willing to let us restore those broken relationships. The next 3 steps describe the rest of our lives. Our bad habits aren't like diseases we can cure and forget. They're more like a bad knee or a weak heart. They're part of our lives, both socially and spiritually. That's why we'll always have to work in our recovery. In the final analysis, Celebrate Recovery is about learning self-control and living well. In these steps, we celebrate our recovery by expressing our gratitude to God. We continue to watch our lives carefully, making additional refinements as God reveals our more subtle flaws that perhaps we were not even aware of when we started this journey. We also establish and maintain appropriate worship activities such as prayer, Bible study, and church attendance. Finally, because of our gratitude, we jump at the opportunities to serve others. It's time to give back. So now we can see that Celebrate Recovery is based on the development of 4 key attitudes: humility, vulnerability, honesty, and gratitude. By combining these attitudes with the 12 action steps, we achieve the 4 life goals of reconciliation with God, reconciliation with self, reconciliation with others, and giving back. A Christ-centered recovery program like Celebrate Recovery is, first and foremost, about recovering a relationship with God. Everything else is secondary. If you've come to Celebrate Recovery seeking an escape from the consequences of past actions or, perhaps, hoping for a better way of living, start by seeking a relationship with God. All the good things that come with recovery come as a benefit of that relationship. In recovery, we know we're still just flawed people, but we're also beginning to realize just how much God loves us. We will never be perfect, but we can cry out every day, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." This is how we celebrate recovery. And that's how and why Celebrate Recovery works. It's a guided process of personal rehabilitation for both the mind and the lifestyle.